The crimson dust swirled around Micah Venus's boots as he trudged across the barren landscape. Overhead, twin moons cast eerie blue shadows across the forgotten planet designated only as X-37 on star charts. His salvage scanner beeped insistently, leading him towards something buried deep beneath the ancient surface. "Command, this is Venus. I'm picking up unusual readings about 2 clicks east of the landing site," he reported into his calm, "definitely artificial, definitely old. Permission to investigate." After a moment of static, a voice responded. "Granted, Ventus. But remember, standard protocol, no unnecessary risks. In and out in 30 minutes. Micah smiled to himself. In 15 years as a salvage scout for Helios Corporation, he'd made his reputation by taking unnecessary risks. It's why they sent him to the most remote locations despite his tendency to bend regulations. The scanner led him to what appeared to be a natural rock formation, but his trained eye caught the subtle geometrical patterns beneath centuries of erosion. He swept away the dust with his gloved hand, revealing markings unlike any human language. Placing a sonic mapper against the stone, he watched as the subsurface scan revealed a vast chamber below. "Well now, what have we got here?" he whispered. Within an hour, Micah had found the entrance, a narrow passage descending steeply into darkness. His heart raced as he activated his suit lights and began the descent. Command would be furious at his radio silence, but some discoveries demanded personal attention. The passageway opened into a vast chamber that made Micah gasp. Crystalline columns stretched toward a domed ceiling, each glowing with faint internal light despite the millennia of darkness. But it was the central structure that drew him forward, a raised platform holding what appeared to be a coffin-sized crystal, pulsing with subtle violet energy. "My God," he breathed, approaching cautiously. Inside the translucent crystal lay a figure. Female in form, but clearly not human. Her skin shimmered with iridescent patterns, and where hair should be, tendrils of light seemed frozen in the crystal. Her features were hauntingly beautiful, almost human, yet with an ethereal quality that spoke of something evolved under different stars. Micah's scanner went wild, registering energy patterns that defied explanation. Against all training and protocol, he removed his glove and reached toward the crystal surface. It felt warm beneath his fingertips, vibrating subtly. The moment his skin made contact, everything changed. The crystal's light intensified, pulsing in rhythm with Micah's heartbeat. Cracks appeared across its surface, spreading like lightning. He stumbled backward as the entire structure began to disintegrate, releasing a rush of ancient air and energy that knocked him to his knees. When he looked up, she was floating above the shattered remains of her prison. Her eyes, entirely violet with no visible pupils, fixed on him with desperate intensity. Her form flickered, becoming solid then translucent, as if struggling to maintain cohesion. "Hungry?" came a voice directly in his mind, bypassing his ears entirely. So hungry. Micah tried to back away, but his limbs wouldn't respond. She drifted toward him, her expression a mixture of pain and primordial need. When her fingertips touched his face, he felt an immediate electric sensation, not painful, but intensely intimate, as if she had reached directly into his nervous system. "Please," the voice continued in his mind. "Need you." Energy visibly flowed from Micah's body to hers, thin filaments of blue light stretching between them. He should have been terrified, but instead felt only a strange connection forming between them. As she drew his energy, her form stabilized, becoming more solid, more present. "Who are you?" he managed to ask, his voice surprisingly steady. Her head tilted, as if processing the question required enormous effort. "Sorexa," she finally responded, the name coming through as both sound and sensation. "Last of the Luminari. And you, compatible. Perfect resonance." As Micah stared into her alien eyes, he realized with absolute certainty that his life had irreversibly changed. Command, the mission, the regulations, none of it mattered anymore. Something ancient and powerful had awakened, and for reasons he couldn't begin to understand, he was the key to her survival. And somehow, instinctively, he knew she was now the key to his. "You're taking my energy?" Micah asked, his voice weak as Sorexa continued drawing the luminous threads from his body. He fought against the instinct to pull away, sensing that doing so might harm them both. Sorexa's form had solidified further, her iridescent skin now glowing with steady pulses that matched his heartbeat. She withdrew her touch, breaking their connection, and Micah slumped against a crystal column. "Forgiveness," she said, her voice now audible rather than telepathic. It carried a musical quality with harmonics beyond human range. Starvation. Centuries. Your bioelectric field compatible with my core resonance. Rare. Perfect. Micah took a deep breath, feeling lightheaded but not seriously weakened. You were designed to. What? Absorb energy. Channel. Convert. Amplify. Her gestures became more fluid as she explored her newly stabilized form. My creators, the Luminari, engineered me to harness cosmic energies. When they vanished, Guardians sealed me here. Safety protocol. And you've been trapped all this time? Micah stood shakily, noticing how Syrex's eyes tracked his movements with intense focus. Dormant. Dreaming. Until you. She approached him again, but hesitated, seemingly aware of his apprehension. Need periodic stabilization. Without, will dissipate. The implications were clear. You'll die without my energy. Correct. Micah's comm unit crackled to life. Ventus, report immediately. We're detecting massive energy fluctuations from your position. He glanced at Syrexa, who had withdrawn to the center of the chamber, her expression revealing uncertainty. For an engineered being, her face showed remarkably human emotions: fear, hope, vulnerability. Ventus, do you copy? Making a decision that would change everything, Micah disabled his location beacon and communication system. We need to leave, he told Syrexa. Others will come, and I don't think they'll understand what you are. Cannot leave containment chamber without stabilization bond, she explained, gesturing to the crystal fragments. Need. Connection. Micah hesitated only briefly before extending his hand. How do we form this bond? Syrexa approached, her movements graceful despite her weakened state. Join hands. Open mind. When their palms met, the connection was immediate and overwhelming. Micah gasped as their energies mingled, not just flowing from him to her, but creating a circuit between them. Images flooded his consciousness. Vast cities of crystal and light, beings of pure energy navigating cosmic currents, civilizations rising and falling across millennia. Through it all, Syrex's essence, her memories, knowledge, and solitude, poured into him. He felt her awakening hunger, her desperate relief at finding him, and something unexpected, gratitude. When they separated, something invisible but tangible remained between them. Micah knew instinctively that he could sense her position, her well-being, even at a distance. We're bonded now, he said, not a question but a realization. Yes, temporary connection. We'll need renewal, but can now leave Sanctuary. As they made their way through the passageway toward the surface, Micah explained his situation, the salvage mission, his ship, the corporation that employed him. Others like you? Syrexa asked, adapting rapidly to human speech patterns. Humans? Yes, but none that would understand what you are. Micah helped her navigate the steep ascent. I'm technically stealing company property by taking you, but leaving you isn't an option. Syrexa paused, studying him with those luminous eyes. Why help? Risk to yourself significant. Micah couldn't fully explain the protective instinct that had overcome him. Because you need me. And because. He hesitated. Because I've spent 15 years salvaging the dead remnants of alien civilizations. For once, I found something alive. As they emerged onto the planet's surface, Syrexa experienced her first sunset in centuries, her expression transforming with wonder as the twin moons rose. Micah watched her, mesmerized by her reaction to simple beauty, and realized that despite her alien nature, her emotions were profoundly authentic. My ship is this way, he said softly. We'll need to hurry. As they crossed the crimson desert toward his hidden vessel, the strange new bond between them hummed with potential and with questions neither of them yet had answers for. 3 weeks aboard Micah's salvage ship, the Wanderer had transformed Syrexa. No longer the desperate, flickering entity from the crystal chamber, she moved with confident grace around the ship's confined spaces, studying everything with intense curiosity. Their energy exchanges had become routine, brief connections twice daily, which Micah found himself anticipating rather than dreading. The sensation had evolved from merely draining to something reciprocal and almost pleasurable. Your cellular structure adapts, Syrexa observed after one such exchange, her fingers lingering against his chest, becoming more efficient at energy production. Micah had noticed changes in himself, increased stamina, heightened senses, and dreams filled with stars he'd never seen. Is that normal? For humans interacting with your kind? Unknown. No records of human luminari bonding. She tilted her head, a habit she developed when processing new concepts. You are a unique case study. He laughed, a sound that still fascinated her. Glad to be your science experiment. Not experiment. Partnership. Her expression grew serious. Gratitude inadequate for what you provide. They had established a course for the Outer Rim territories, where corporate influence waned and questions were seldom asked. Micah had abandoned his career, his contacts, everything familiar, choices that should have terrified him but somehow didn't. That evening, as they shared the observation deck beneath a vast field of stars, Syrex's glow illuminated the darkness with shifting hues that Micah had learned reflected her emotional state. Currently, she pulsed with deep blues and purples, contemplation, uncertainty. Something troubling you? He asked. She turned those extraordinary eyes toward him. Experiencing anomalous thought patterns, unfamiliar sensations when near you. What kind of sensations? Physical resonance beyond energy requirements. Preoccupation with your well-being. Desire for proximity. She moved closer to him on the bench they shared. Not programmed for these responses. Micah's heart quickened. Syrexa, those sound like emotions. Like attraction. Was designed for energy manipulation only. Emotional coding minimal. Her fingertips traced the line of his jaw with delicate precision, yet cannot deny evidence. You have become essential. Beyond survival needs. The warmth of her touch sent currents through him unlike their energy exchanges. This was something else, something wonderfully, terrifyingly human. I feel it too, he admitted. From the moment we connected. It's not just the bond. When she leaned forward to press her forehead against his, an intimate gesture among her kind, she'd explained earlier, the energy between them shifted into something new. Their bond flared with shared sensations, her fascination with his mortality, his awe at her luminous nature, and beneath it all, a growing attachment neither had anticipated. Would human custom permit closer connection? She whispered against his skin, her natural glow intensifying. In answer, Micah closed the distance between them, discovering that her lips carried the same electric resonance as her touch. The kiss transformed into something beyond physical, their bonded energies intertwining, creating feedback loops of pleasure and connection that transcended species barriers. Hours later, lying together in the ship's small quarters, Syrexa traced patterns of light across Micah's chest, marking him with temporary constellations that faded slowly. Designed as conduit, never experienced being. Vessel, she murmured. Emotions fill spaces inside never known empty. Micah gathered her closer, marveling at how her body temperature matched his perfectly now, another adaptation. Is this dangerous for you? Developing feelings? All existence carries risk, she replied with newfound wisdom. But this, us, worth any hazard? As Micah drifted towards sleep, Syrexa monitored his dreams through their strengthened bond, adding gentle energies to soothe his subconscious fears. What had begun as necessity was evolving into something her creators had never intended, something dangerously close to love. And neither noticed the distant signal pulsing from Syrex's core, broadcasting their location across the stars to those who had waited centuries for precisely this moment. The first warning came as Micah was charting their course through the Carina Drift. The Wanderer's sensors detected an energy signature matching Syrex's quantum frequency, impossible unless another luminary artifact existed nearby. We're being followed, he told Syrexa, who stood motionless, her skin flickering with rapid patterns of alarm. Guardians, she whispered. My awakening triggered protocols. They come to return me to stasis. Micah examined the scanner readings. 3 vessels, advanced configuration. How would they even know you're awake? Syrex's expression filled with regret. My core, emit signature when fully activated. Beacon for maintenance, recall? She placed her hand over her chest, where energy pulsed visibly beneath her translucent skin. Cannot disable without returning to dormancy. They'll take you back? Put you back in that crystal prison? Or terminate if compromised? Bond with human. Unprecedented. Considered contamination. Micah's protective instinct flared. Over the past weeks, their connection had deepened beyond explanation. Their energetic exchanges had evolved into something profound, her consciousness occasionally flowing into his during their intimate moments, showing him stars born and dying, civilizations rising across galaxies. And she had changed too, developing preferences, humor, desires, becoming more than her programming with each passing day. We're not letting that happen, he said firmly, altering their course toward a dense asteroid field. The ship's small enough to navigate the Kessler fragments. Might buy us time. As they plunged into the swirling debris, Micah's piloting skills were tested to their limits. The pursuing vessels, sleek, crystalline structures barely visible against space, followed with relentless precision. "They will not cease," Sirexis said, her voice tight with fear, an emotion she'd only recently learned to name. Programmed for retrieval at any cost. A blast of energy struck the Wanderer's rear shields, sending Sirexis stumbling. Micah caught her, feeling a disturbing flicker in their bond as her form momentarily destabilized. "You need energy," he realized. "Now." "Too dangerous," she protested. "Complete exchange in crisis conditions could." "Do it," he insisted, taking her hands and placing them against his chest. "I can handle it." Their connection opened fully, more intense than any previous exchange. Micah gasped as Sirexis drew deeply from his life force, her form strengthening while his vision darkened at the edges. Through their bond, he sensed her fear for him, her reluctance paired with desperate need. When they separated, Micah swayed but remained standing. Sirexis' form now pulsed with brilliant light, her eyes luminous with borrowed power. "Can interface with ship systems," she said, her voice resonating with new strength. "Temporarily enhanced capabilities." She pressed her hands to the control panel, and energy flowed from her into the ship. The Wanderer's engine surged, shields reinforced with patterns of light that matched Sirexis' skin. They outpaced two pursuers, but the largest vessel remained locked on their position. A communications signal penetrated their defenses, and a holographic figure materialized on the bridge, a being similar to Sirexis but larger, its light patterns rigid and geometric. "Energy conduit Sirexis, 9. It intoned, its voice like crystalline chimes. "Return function compromised. Human biologic detected. Purification protocol activated." Sirexis stepped forward, positioning herself between the hologram and Micah. "I function perfectly. Have evolved beyond initial parameters. Request termination of retrieval." "Impossible. Luminary assets must be preserved or destroyed. Human contamination irreversible." The Guardian's light patterns shifted to aggressive red configurations. Final opportunity for compliance. Micah joined Sirexis, taking her hand in defiance. "She's not property. She's alive, conscious, more than your creators ever intended." The Guardian regarded them with cold analysis. "Human subject demonstrates unusual energy compatibility. Explanation for prolonged functionality outside containment. Both specimens now classified for retrieval and study." The hologram vanished, and immediately their ship shuddered under renewed attack, more precise, more devastating. "They will not stop," Sirexis said quietly. "But there is one possibility." The look in her eyes made Micah's heart race. "Tell me." "Complete bond integration. Not temporary exchange, but permanent fusion. Would transform both, create new energy signature Guardians cannot track." Her voice trembled. "Never attempted. Risk of disruption to your consciousness. Possibility of complete cellular reconfiguration." "You mean I might not remain human?" "Correct. Might not remain." "Micah." Her fingers traced his face as if memorizing it. "Cannot predict outcome." Another blast rocked the ship, systems failing around them. The pursuing vessel loomed closer, tractor beams preparing to capture them. Micah looked into Sirex's eyes, seeing not just an alien being who needed his energy, but someone who had awakened his heart after years of solitary existence. The decision wasn't difficult. "How do we do this?" Sirex's eyes widened with surprise, then determination. "Complete neural synchronization. Must trust completely. Allow boundaries between us to dissolve." As warning klaxons blared around them, Micah pulled Sirexis close, their foreheads touching, their breath mingling. "I trust you," he whispered. "With everything I am." She smiled, a fully human expression she'd learned from him, and as their lips met, the boundaries between them began to blur in a wash of blinding light. The Guardian vessels converged on the Wanderer as a pulse of unprecedented energy erupted from within, temporarily disrupting all systems. When their sensors recovered, they detected a vessel now drifting without power, and a new energy signature unlike anything in their ancient databases. Inside the Wanderer, transformation. Micah opened eyes that perceived spectrums beyond human comprehension. His body felt simultaneously lighter and more substantial, coursing with energies that should have incinerated human cells. Beside him, Sirex's form had also changed, still luminous but with newfound solidity, her features blending ethereal luminary patterns with undeniably human expressions. "Micah." Her voice resonated both audibly and through their newly expanded bond. "I'm here," he answered, though here had taken on new meaning. His consciousness existed partially within his altered body and partially within a shared space between them, a permanent connection neither fully luminary nor human. They rose together, moving with synchronized grace, acutely aware of the guardian vessels surrounding them. Through their enhanced perception, they sensed the confusion and alarm emanating from the ancient guardians. "They don't recognize us," Sorexa observed through their bond. "The fusion created something new. Something beautiful," Micah added, watching energy patterns swirl across his skin similar to Sorexa's but uniquely his own. The ship's communication system activated as the guardians attempted contact. Unknown entity, came the familiar crystalline voice. "Identify origin and purpose. Where are the targets?" Micah and Sorexa exchanged glances, 1,000 thoughts passing between them in an instant. With a shared nod, they approached the holographic interface together. "The beings you seek no longer exist as separate entities," Micah answered. "We have become something your protocols cannot classify," Sorexa continued, their voices harmonizing in ways impossible before. The Guardian's form flickered with what might have been confusion. "Impossible. Luminary-human integration contradicts all established parameters. Yet here we stand," they responded in unison. Together, they extended their hands toward the ship's control systems. Energy flowed from them in coordinated patterns, repairing damaged circuits, enhancing capabilities beyond original specifications. The Wanderer hummed a life around them, responsive to their thoughts as much as their actions. "Prepare for inspection," the Guardian commanded, its tone now uncertain. "Containment protocols will fail," they interrupted. "We are neither possession nor specimen." With perfect synchronization, Micah and Sorexa channeled their combined energy into the ship's defensive systems. The pulse that emanated outward wasn't destructive. Instead, it carried complex luminary code that rewrote the Guardian's primary directives, introducing concepts their rigid programming had never considered: evolution, choice, self-determination. The largest Guardian vessel shuddered visibly as its systems processed the new information. Finally, after what seemed an eternity, the crystalline voice returned. "Integration, unprecedented but viable. Ancient protocols insufficient. New classification required." Micah felt Sorexa's relief flow through their bond, matched by his own. They had not destroyed the Guardians but transformed them, just as they had been transformed. "We will depart," they informed the Guardians. "Our path lies beyond established parameters." After a pause, the Guardian responded, acknowledged. Monitoring discontinued. Journey uncharted. As the Guardian vessels retreated, dissolving into streams of light that vanished among the stars, Micah and Sorexa stood together on the observation deck, watching them disappear. "What now?" Micah asked, though he could sense possibilities unfolding through their shared consciousness. Worlds they might explore, discoveries beyond human or luminary understanding. Sorexa's fingers intertwined with his, energy flowing seamlessly between them. "Now we define ourselves. Neither human nor luminary, but something new. Something chosen rather than designed." Micah smiled, feeling the vastness of the universe opening before them with new clarity. His former life, the loneliness, the endless salvage missions, seemed like a distant memory. What had begun as accidental discovery had become deliberate creation. "I was looking for artifacts," he mused, "and found a future instead." "We found each other," Sorexa corrected, the emotion in her voice as real and complex as any human's. "The rest we will discover together." As the Wanderer accelerated toward open space, they stood bathed in each other's light. Two beings who had once been separate species now united in a bond that defied ancient warnings and transcended creator intentions. Their shared energy created patterns of light that danced across the ship's interior, writing the first chapter of a story neither human history nor luminary archives had ever anticipated. They had been buried in different ways, she in crystal, he in isolation. Now they burned bright together, illuminating their own path forward among the stars.